What's up, guys? I just came from an absolutely killer Axis of Empires show. This is a for a benefit, annual benefit charity thing that we like to do every year, and it was really good. We had a really phenomenal time, and I was worried, honestly, because this is the lowest amount of SSRI that I have been on in my adult life since about age 20, and the lowest I've ever played a show in my adult life since about 20. And uh, it went great. It went so well. We had a great time. We did Paranoid as a tribute to Ozzy. We did Holy Diver, which we do at most of our shows, and then played played a bunch of originals as always. Played, what did we do off of? Let's see, what all did we do? I know we did a bunch of stuff off of Into the Shadow. We did Dead to Me off the most recent album. I don't think we did anything off of Awakened by Chaos this time, which is a bummer. We normally do Strike at the Wind, but we did not have time for it tonight. But it was a great show. Played to a great, very enthusiastic crowd, and had a lot of fun. Oh, and we closed with a cover of Time Warp, which was fun because we had there were a bunch of drag queens there, so we got the drag queens to dance with us while we performed, which was a blast. And of course, everybody sang along on Time Warp, and we had an amazing time. Time Warp from Rocky Horror, and we had a great time. And so this was definitely a personal milestone for the SSRI tapering. And it's been interesting because, as you know, I've been at 5 milligrams, and normally I would have been ready at 6 weeks, after completing 6 weeks, to go down to 2.5 milligrams. It's been about 6 weeks for each stage of the taper. And I decided to hold off on going down just because I wanted to make sure that I could really show up well for this show. And I did really good meal prep for today. I did my usual breakfast, and then I had my big dinner meal before the show, after I got off work, and had chicken and green beans and wheat pasta, and it was, that was really good, of course. And then I took just like a Yoplait and a cheese stick and almonds and a couple of squares of dark chocolate with me to the show. And what was amazing was I found myself getting hungry again about 90 minutes later. I checked with ChatGPT, and it said that's because my body was sending me adrenaline, to get ready for the show. And so I, had stuff to nibble on the whole way, but I was on edge a little bit when I got there. It was not bad, but I was on edge, and the venue we've played is the venue we played is a venue I've played at so many times that it's one of those, feels like a second home kind of places. So once I got in there and said hi to everybody, and shook all the familiar hands and hugged all the familiar people and everything, everything leveled off. And the guys in the band, we were all feeling good, all feeling very positive about it. And so it went well. I started to get, in the very final moments of Time Warp, right at the end, I started to get a little bit of sensory overload, but I was able to just dismiss it, just say, nope, we're not doing that tonight, and kept going. And by the time the song was over, I wanted to keep going, man. I wanted to do a long set. So this was really good. But to go take a few steps back, and we had not done. A few weeks ago, we started rehearsing for this a couple months ago, and we had not done Axis practice in, it is so hard not to say Actix practice, or Axis practice, you have no idea. But anyway, we had not done Axis practice in a minute because we'd all been off dealing with our own personal shit. For me, this SSRI tapering, which has had, as you know, sensory issues with it. And so when we got back in, we started jamming the old songs, and we got to the bridge on Heretics. Everything was going perfectly that first day. I was jittery and nervous as hell about what the sensory overload was going to do. This was almost 2 months ago. And I was worried about what the sensory overload effect was going to be. And everything was going fine until we got to the bridge on Heretics, and I blanked. And and I we ended up not doing Heretics tonight, of course, and so that all of the woodshedding that I did on the bridge after this was all for naught, I suppose. Although practice always, all practice helps. But anyway, we found her. We were playing Heretics, and we got to the bridge, and I completely blanked, and I had got hit with such tremendous sensory overload that I had to actually step out for a minute, and came back in, and everything was fine. And I find, our practices, we actually usually rehearse first thing in the morning on Sunday, and so it was with that, it was difficult. It's mornings are always the most difficult time for me with this stuff. Whatever I'm dealing with, it usually hits worst in the mornings. And so I got a huge brain zap. Not even a brain zap, it was real, like a real SSRI shock, serotonin shock. And it started to calm down, but what I did, we did a couple of other songs, and after that we did the song Scythe Lucifer. And you go listen to the song Scythe Lucifer, it's a banger, man. It's one of our heavier songs on the first album. And it ends with blast beats, a blast beat part at the end where we're just, double timing everything. And that, when we did that song, everything was overloaded. I felt like I was barely in control of my fingers. And so I put on, I rehearse with earplugs anyway, but I put on noise-canceling headphones on top of that, and that brought everything down to where I could get through it. And so for the next couple of practices after that, I just went ahead and put on noise-canceling headphones, and then finally got back to where I could do it with just earplugs. But it felt, even still, it felt so good to get everything rolling again and to get back to playing and get to get this shit happening. Felt so good. And so bringing it back around to the SSRI tapering, though, so like I said, I waited extra long because I wanted to make sure that Mitzi says hi. Can you say hi? Say hi. Okay. But wanted to make sure I could really show up for this. And what happened after, literally, one day, the day one of week 5 at this tapering stage, after 4 weeks was completed, literally that day, something switched off. In all of the panic and hypersensitivity and the shaking, the jitters, the word jitter doesn't do it justice, but it all switched off. I woke up that day with a feeling of it's off. It's been switched off, and the switch is turned and it's not coming back on. I don't know what that's going to be like when I go down to 2.5. I don't know what it's going to be like when I go down to 0. But I do know that for the last 4 weeks, it's been that I've had not a whole lot of anxiety or withdrawal-related some anxiety in that regard. And what I have had, I've been able to kind of just dismiss and put it aside, like what I did tonight. And so that's been great, but it was replaced by something else, which was replaced by depression. And these last 4 weeks, waves of depression have been the just the order of the day, and so much emptiness and bleakness. And it's kind of like I actually got I want to read it. I haven't read The Never-Ending Story since I was a kid. I read it one time when I was a kid, when I was obsessed with the movie, and have not read it since. So I got a copy. I'm going to reread it. But I was watching it, the movie, the first movie, the other day, and I was thinking about the whole movie, The Nothing. The movie is a metaphor for depression, and when you think about it, The Nothing is a metaphor for depression, and the movie is a metaphor for the grieving process, and the story, I should say, in the book and the movie. It's a metaphor for the grieving process, and there's that scene at the beginning where Rockbiter has just seen the nothing, and he's describing it to other people, and one of them says, "Well, was this like a hole in the ground?" And he says, "No, a hole would have been something. This was nothing." Like, that's, yeah, I mean, the weird feeling of nothingness that depression brings about. It's been better this time, just because I've been tapering down slowly. So it's been more manageable, and I've gotten comfortable thinking of it like it's, in the same way that I started thinking about the panic symptoms as these passing things, these waves that will eventually crest, and I'll be able to go on, and it'll eventually pass, and it's a transitory process, not a fixed final state of being. And so I've been thinking about depression the same way, and exercise has helped tremendously with that. I've been 5 days a week. Every week, I have run between 0.8 of a mile and a full mile on the treadmill, followed by either weightlifting or core strengthening, and that's been great. I'm down. I actually, on the analog scale, which at my gym, they have an analog scale with the sliders at the top and a digital scale, and I've stopped using the digital scale because I got on it and it said 169, which is going way into the wishful thinking territory for me. But the analog scale had me at 244, so I have now surpassed surpassed 55 pounds, which is in weight loss, which is huge. And again, the difference is amazing. The feeling of being able to put my arms straight down by my sides is amazing. The feeling of being able to go shirtless under my battle jacket at an Axis of Empires show is amazing. All of that, and do so confidently. And so that's been really good, and that exercise has been paramount in fighting not just the anxiety but the depression. Like when I found when I'm in when I was in a state where it's like jitters, like I feel like a jackhammer is running through me or hitting me as I'm being electrocuted. If I go get in the gym and run that shit out, I feel better. If I am so depressed that my entire life feels like listening to the song Pariah by Steven Wilson on loop in a mashup with the This Mortal Coil's It'll End in Tears album, I go if I can go get in the gym and run that shit out. That just changes everything. And by the way, my book that I've been reading in the hot tub at my gym has been Good Night Sleep Tight by Brian Evenson. I finished it. Okay, you have to understand something. So a couple of years ago, I read Song for the Unraveling of the World, which is a book of short stories by Brian Evenson, and it's one of the best books I've read in my entire adult life. Like, seriously, when most of your favorite stuff you discover when you're a teenager or a young adult, and I discovered this book, and it was as good as the stuff the stuff I loved back as a kid. This was the most tedious most of it was the most tedious try-hard crap like you could ever possibly imagine. Like, seriously, I don't get me wrong, there were a few stories in this that were really good. There's a story in this called Mother that was phenomenal. I loved that story. There were a few more, but most of it was like, I swear you could practically imagine him sitting around a campfire with a flashlight under his chin trying to scare people. I mean, it was just so try hard. And no disrespect to Brian Evenson, I know he's capable of much more. But anyway, so that was and basically he keeps doing this. I'm getting off on a tangent here, but he keeps doing like the same formulas over and over again throughout that book, recycling them throughout the same story, and basically about 80% of those stories could be summarized as thoughts a robot was having while it watched its human mother die. Anyway, but I am looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to reading Lanark by Alasdair Gray, which I have to hold like this and can only show you part of the cover, but I've wanted to read this one for a long time as well, and if you know the name Alasdair Gray, it's because his writing was the basis for, what was that movie with Emma Stone that was Poor Little Things or Poor Things or Pretty Little Things. I love the most recent Yorgos Lanthimos movie. I loved it from a visual standpoint, but the story I did not like. And but I've been wanting to read that book by him for a long time. Anyway, so all of that has been good, and staying busy helps the depression more than anything. And I'm someone who, why do I play in a band, and why am I designing a computer game? Which, by the way, that's going great as well. My friend and actor Oliver James Atkinson is currently filming FMVs for the to go in the game, so it's going to be like a Myst Seventh Guest kind of Return to Zork kind of thing. Anyway, why do I do all this? Why do I stay constantly busy? Because I have to. It is hard for me to just do nothing and hang out and just chill out. I feel like I have to be, even my playtime has to be structured around some kind of goal. And that's one of the reasons the JO4... Hey, Mitzi. That's one of the reasons the JO42 reviews segments are so good for me, is because it's like I can only... I have to have some reason to sit and play computer games. But anyway, can you say hi? No? Okay. Anyway, so that's basically it, though. Things are looking good right now. And what's encouraging is, I was so tempted to just stay at 5 forever, because now I'm at such a relaxed and chilled out state that I thought surely maybe I'll just stay here, and that's so tempting. But no, I want the full thing. I want the full release, the full escape from this. So tomorrow I will go over to the pharmacy, and I have a prescription waiting for me, which is 5 milligram tablets. and I will use those to initiate my 2.5 milligram tapering phase, because I can cut those in half rather than trying to quarter the ones the other ones that I've got now. So anyway, that's where it's at, and check out. By the way, to the Axis of Empires fans out there, we are remixing and remastering Heretics and Orthodoxy, so it's going to sound really good, and it's going to. The first track from the Heretics and Orthodoxy remix is now available on streaming services everywhere. It's the remix of the song Orthodoxy. So anyway, check that out, and peace. I'm going to chill out for the evening.